Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat Cats, a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name is Jake, and I'm joined by two of Australia's most wanted, Sambo and Johnny. How are we, chaps?
Good.
Good. Warm.
Yes.
It is getting there.
Unfortunately, I really do hate summer so much. I don't understand why people
Just
love summer. It's like, do you love sweating in your pants all day, a sweaty ball sack or whatever, and hating every single day?
Hey-oh. Here we are.
Here we
are. We're recording after
didn't
9
even get to the
o'clock.
sponsor read.
Yeah.
We're recording after 9 o'clock, so by broadcast standards, it's all right. I don't know when you
Absolutely.
out there are listening to this. It might be
Listening.
4 a.m. in the morning. driving somewhere, and you've just been you've just copped a sweaty ball sack on your podcast.
Sweaty ball sack, yep.
Literally,
gotta
like
cross
55 seconds. in.
The things you dislike, and summer is one of the things I dislike for that very reason.
You're just speaking your truth.
Absolutely.
This is a safe space, John. It's all right to
Thank
share. I think we've all learned something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the heat. It ain't great. It ain't great for a variety of reasons.
There's
John's
snakes.
outlined some of them already.
Mosquitoes.
Enough, John. Enough. We don't want to know. On the
Flies.
show tonight, the Cats v Lions round 9 recap. That's the AFLW Cats, because the men, they packed it in months ago, or a month ago. Got too hot. They decided not to play anymore. The women still toiling away in the heat on the weekends. So we're going to talk all about Cats v Lions, the round 9 recap. Pretty excellent game to tune into if you're a Cats fan. So we're going to recap all that for you. Then we're going to duck over to the Patreon part of the show tonight. It's a surprise, not just for you, but for us as well. We're going in. It's just going to be freeform. Don't know, might be an extension of this conversation. We might complete John's list of top 10 things he hates about summer. And, you know, if the start wasn't tantalizing enough, who knows what you'll get. So make sure you go on over and sign up for your 7-day free trial on the Hoops Crew Patreon. You get extended versions of our shows. During the bulk of the season, you get VFL men's and VFL women's coverage. You get bonus scratching post episodes from Paul, Wednesday news wraps with Ben, and a bunch of other stuff as we deem it fit. So go on over, give that one a whirl ski. And another piece of business we must and want desperately to attend to is, that's right, it's a burning desire to say, it's a good burning desire, not a burning desire that you need to go and get checked out at a doctor's. It is a burning desire to say thank you to our media network sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. You can hit them up on the web, www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. That's Cook with an E. Don't know, just a little bit of trivia for those at home. Just, spilling some truth here. www stands for World Wide Web, in case you weren't aware. You can give them a phone call on 035 222 2244, or, as we've been saying, if you want to make use of your unique listener-viewer relationship with the Hoops Crew, then go on in and visit them in store at Shop 12, 11 Leather Street in Breakwater. I find that really satisfying to say 11 Leather Street in Breakwater. Tell them that the Hoops Crew sent you, and you will get 20% off your next in-store discount. Not 5%, not 10%, not 15%, but 20% off. So big thanks to Cyril Cook Florist. Chaps, it's time to get in to the nitty-gritty. The nitty glory? I don't know. Workshop that. Massive game on the weekend.
Sweaty glory.
It's either wonderful or terrible in terms of decision making that we've decided to record after 9 o'clock tonight. Will you be the judge?
Especially on my
Cats
Friday.
going in. absolutely last chance saloon to keep themselves mathematically in contention for finals. But more than that, a chance to maybe put some things right that have gone wrong so far this season and get a little bit of revenge on a Brisbane Lions team that knocked them out at the prelim final stage last year. Let's not make a habit of losing prelim finals to Brisbane, please. The Cats, they got out of the gate hot. It was goals to Aisling Maloney, of course, after 2.5 minutes. It was a goal to Shelley Scott in her 75th game of AFLW footy after 5 minutes, 47 seconds. And Jackie Parry made it 3 for the Cats inside the first 9 minutes. They were up and about. A goal to Dakota Davidson late gave Brisbane some hope. They went in trailing 7-19, but the Cats were not in the business of selling hope. They kicked the first 2 goals of the second quarter. Shelley Scott, her second of the afternoon after 5.5. It was Michaela Bowen. Didn't know which way she was meant to be kicking to start with. Then once she turned around and found the needle on the compass, went bang from the pain of 50 to a vacant goal square. Through that one flew. Lions got one through Uluru Dwyer late again, but Geelong had established what looked like being a pretty comfortable lead, 5-1-31 to 2-4-16 at the half. They had a chance to extend it by many scores. Michaela Bowen had a behind. Shelley Scott had a behind. Aisling Maloney a behind. All of those coming in the first 12 minutes of the third term. It was Nina Morrison who slotted a classy goal after nearly 13 minutes to push that margin out further beyond 20 points. The Lions responded with a goal. They made a habit of getting the last goal of the quarter across this game. Charlotte Mullins got one for them. That left the Cats up 6-4-40 to 3-5-23. But while Brisbane were kicking them late, Geelong were kicking them early. They opened the final term with an absolute Picasso goal. Picasso, that a good? I think that's a good artist. I think people know Picasso, even if the work was somewhat strange. I think we can all appreciate the brilliance.
Cubist
That's what I
goal,
was
you
saying.
reckon?
Oh wow, cubism! I like it. Well, there was Aisling Maloney stepped up to kick the first cubist goal of the season, faking opponent out of her boots and then snapping on the outside of the boot. From 40 out? A beautiful goal. That really did seal it up. Although Brisbane managed a late charge, they kicked 2 goals late to Uluru Dwyer and Evie Long. Geelong shut up shop across the last 5 minutes of the game, seeing off the challenge to come out on top. 7-5, 47 to 5-7, 37. Johnny, going to fire it your way to start with a glorious, joyous performance. What were your initial takeaways?
Yeah, that was what we've been waiting for, what we've been expecting all season, just that complete performance. And I think we all got to see what we wanted to see the last few weeks. Sam's been asking to see good handballs, clean possessions, clean marks and all that. We got all that. We wanted to see, Jake, you want to see good defensive pressure, defensive efforts and all that. We got that. And I wanted to see us take opportunities when they were there, and we definitely took our opportunities. So it was just joyous to see it all come together and go, oh yes, we're not absolutely crazy in thinking this team's way better than what they actually are. They are actually as good as we think they are, and they can play at a really high level and beat teams way above them on the ladder, even though it doesn't feel like the Cats are like 12th or whatever. It feels like they should be up there in the top 4 easily if we just played a little bit better a couple other games, but that's in the past. This game was just a joy to watch from start to finish. It was a team effort from the very start to the very end, and you could see them having fun. They're all having a good time out there and really enjoying it, and you could see the confidence and the will to run was alive after those first 3 goals, and they kept pressuring and they kept Brisbane really accountable for everything that they did. And yeah, it's just taking those opportunities, cleaning up the possessions, and just that constant defensive pressure paid dividends big time, as you'd expect in a game of football, where taking opportunities, applying pressure, and using clean possessions gets you somewhere in the game. So yeah, I was just very much relieved. Is another good word. Just relieved that we're able to produce this performance this year. Because I was thinking, are we going to get to that level that we know that this team is at this year? Is it going to happen, or is it going to be one of those years where we're going, oh, was this just a year where everyone was down, or is this the new level the Cats are going to play in the next couple of years? But it doesn't look like it that way.
Yeah.
It looks like it's turned the correct way. They've worked out all the issues, and hopefully they can go into the next two games full of confidence and smash the next two teams.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that, Johnny. As you said, we got to see what we wanted to see. We've been talking about different things all last few weeks, all season, really. Sambo, your general thoughts before I steer us in any other directions?
I would echo everything Johnny said, more or less, just from a personal standpoint. Like, I watched it, I had to watch the replay, I missed the game, and I did unfortunately spoil the score for myself, which I was disappointed about. So it's always hard to know exactly, because it didn't, even when, I guess the point of it I'm trying to make is that even when Brisbane were pushing, it didn't ever feel like we lost control to me, but it could be the benefit of knowing the outcome. So I won't completely dismiss that possibility. But living in the world I live and having the experience I had, it didn't feel like we ever lost control. It felt like Brisbane were not off their game. I wouldn't have said for large portions of it. But it felt like when they were sort of having their little purple patch, their spot of momentum, it felt like the Cats never dropped their bundle and kept on top of it and kept doing all the things they needed to do. And yeah, you were talking about the pressure and that, John. That perceived pressure was really satisfying to watch. The way that the Lions just thought they were under so much pressure, even on the occasions when they maybe weren't under so much pressure. It was an incredibly satisfying game to watch, and I guess it did feel, I guess what you guys are getting at, it felt like a bit of a relief. That, and I'm sure it did for them too, that it sort of all came together.
Yeah, it's interesting just looking back at some of the different like stats and stuff. Like 77 tackles for Geelong. That's, obviously fantastic. It's 11 higher than our season average. Brisbane were about, right on their season average. They had 72 and their average is 75. But, Geelong led for 81 minutes. Brisbane never saw the lead. And, a big takeaway from me is that this was definitely the best we've played all season, even if you look at like the Gold Coast game. But I wouldn't. There have been other games where it's been close to this, and I think one of the biggest things, and I think it can't be sort of understated, that this is what happens when you start games 5 goals 1 instead of 1 goals 5. You put all the pressure back on the opponent, because that's what happened. All of a sudden it was Brisbane who missed a few shots, and the Cats, they nail the first one to Ashling Maloney, and as I said, they start 5 goals 1. They started 5 goals 1, and it just puts you in such an advantageous position. And I can't help but think, not pessimistically, like if we started a few other games 5 goals 1 this season rather than 1 goals 5, we'd be talking about a very different finals landscape for the Cats. But as you said, John, that's in the past. And what I really enjoyed about watching this game was that I kind of watched it almost in total like isolation from the rest of the season. Like this win wasn't tainted for me by like, oh, but if only we'd done. Oh, it's a terrible year and we've wasted all this time. And like, obviously the season's been disappointing, but like on Sunday afternoon, I was just able to put that in a totally separate bin and just go, you know what? This was a really ripper performance. And I really just want to, that's the lens I kind of want to view it through. Like we all know that the season has been well below what was expected, both from the fans, from the team and coaches. But this was just a really sparkling, glorious performance. I couldn't help but think of you, Sambo, like when this game started, and just there were a flurry of handballs that just hit players in stride and just gashed the lines and opened up space. And I was thinking that's exactly what Sambo's been sort of on about the last couple of weeks, was just like, elite fundamentals and how that then puts you in a position to execute those other skills. We know we've got players who can do next level things, but it's about doing the basic things to build the platform for those next level opportunities to be taken. And I thought that's what happened. I thought that we went back to moving the ball by foot better. I actually was a bit surprised how few marks we took. We only took 43 marks. I would have thought that was, 50 or 60, to be honest. I thought the way we moved it around and controlled possession, I just thought that uses a lot of our players' best assets, their kicking and their decision making. And I like that we moved it in a variety of different ways. I don't know about you, and I'll throw this one. We'll sort of snake back here. Sambo, what did you think, about the defensive structure of the team? Because it's something we've talked about a bit the last few weeks. Johnny mentioned it was one of the things we wanted to see. But what sort of stood out to you that maybe looked different this week than last week? I know you'd talked about, we might focus on the back line, but maybe it's an issue that's actually growing somewhere else. The back line is a symptom of a problem further up the field. But what did you see in that regard on Sunday?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously it looked it looked a lot better. It looked a lot more organized. It looked more controlled. It still possibly is related to somewhere else around the field, because I think what we did see with us being able to play well defensively in our forward half is that we didn't allow Brisbane too many repeat entries. Like, I felt like our backline was able to structure up and repel, and they weren't just under the pump again. I mean, it did get locked in a couple of times. There was passages of Brisbane being up and about, and that's always going to happen. But I thought for the most part for this game, we did a really good job once we turned it over, not just allowing it to bounce straight back in, and that lets the defense have a break. It lets them reorganize. It lets them restructure. It lets someone have a break. They've got time to jog off the field without creating a hole in the back line. I also thought it just looked a little bit different, like the temperament of the back line, just to get a little bit, I don't know, woo-woo. It didn't seem like we were too fussed about overcommitting. We weren't pushing too deep. We weren't sort of trying to really come out and attack the way I feel like we have done. It's almost like we've been putting the cart before the horse a little bit by being so focused on that turnover that we overcommit to pushing up and attacking the ball and trying to intercept it. Whereas I thought on the weekend we were much more passive. Sounds like a bad word. You wouldn't want your footballers to be passive, but it felt like we were much more comfortable and confident to see what Brisbane was going to bring and react accordingly. Just watch your zones, watch your players, whatever it might be. And yeah, it just looked like we were a little more settled and less erratic, the way that they were defending. And yeah, I think again, like everywhere else in the field, the fundamentals were up. And then it's a bit of a chicken or the egg thing, in that when your fundamentals are up and you're not making some mistakes, then your confidence stays up and your fundamentals remain up, and then your structure holds because you're not panicking and people aren't having to cover it for each other. So I thought just overall, pretty much in its entirety, the back line was working really well, and I just liked how settled they looked.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. There's probably some like player specifics that we could get into, but maybe we could leave them for, either votes or post votes. I wanted to throw to you here, Johnny, and talk. We touched on it a little bit earlier about the sort of the end game situation, like when Brisbane kicked those back-to-back goals late, and it narrows the margin a bit. I suppose like Twitter was a bit divided. Some people felt really anxious about it. What were your sort of thoughts and emotions when Brisbane did kick those 2 goals? And what did you think about Geelong's response? And in particular, did you notice any particular players who stood up maybe in that crunch moment where maybe we've wilted a bit previously, but it wasn't the case sort of thing on Sunday?
Well, it's tough because, like Sam, I had to watch it on replay, and I had also seen the score before I watched it. So
Yeah.
it's tough to say how I would have felt, but I think watching it, that I would have been very nervous. Shit, here we go again. We got in a really good position, and we're gonna cough it up with a couple of seconds left to go. Fortunately, it didn't go that way. Yeah, I just think it's hard to pinpoint a single player out because I thought so many players applied such great defensive pressure throughout the game. But Kennedy's one that comes to mind that really stood up, and Julia Crockett-Grills as well. I thought her work around the ball was really good and really excellent. Like, that's her pressure. And Webster, Smith, as I said, I think you can just name everyone. It was such a team-focused effort. It was like, we're not going to let this one get away. We're not going to just fold and let them get back into this and take the lead and not be able to kick that last goal. And they, just refused to give in and not let Brisbane get a chance, even when they did get those last 2. As I said, I sort of scored, but I think even watching it, I would have been very nervous, but also maybe a little bit calm at the same time because it didn't feel, even though watching it on replay, knowing the score, it didn't feel the same as last time when oppositions get quick goals out of the centre, because they got those sort of 2 quickish ones. But I just felt like there was no panic setting for the Cats. Just felt like they were ready to go, ready to bring on that pressure, bring it on, and then put it on Brisbane. It's tough to really think about that, but and the players, as I said, I just feel like all the players were really good. But I thought Megatron again stood up this week. Stood up to what Chicken's players, as we've missed a long time throughout this year. I thought she was a lot better, along with Claudia Gunjaka. I feel like them two were working a lot better together than what we've seen. And then just like the other players coming back, like Georgie Sparkus. I saw her so many times in defence, just giving a hand to clear it. And with her there, they were able to clear it really well. So I thought Georgie's defensive pressure, her match awareness, and as I said last week, her ability to start playing at the level we know was a really good sign. And to see it again 2 weeks in a row is another massive sign of just going relief, of going, yeah, Georgie still knows how to play football. She's still that superstar player that we've missed. And I feel like there's so many players like Georgie that we just missed at their best this season. But they're all starting to come back. And seeing the news this week that Amy McDonald's coming back this weekend is just another massive sigh of relief that AMAC's on the way back.
Yeah, definitely. It's been interesting to see. Like, we've probably got to look at some players that wouldn't have otherwise had a chance. I probably thought like a commonality I would have said between Caitlin Thorne, Melissa Bragg, and Bella Kay Smith is some really good intent, but probably not great disposal efficiency. I think that bears out in the stats. Caitlin Thorne had the highest of the 3 with 36.4%, but she did win 12 disposals. I think there's something to work with there with Caitlin Thorne. And I suppose my point being that if Amy McDonald had played every game this season, you wouldn't get to see players like Caitlin Thorne and Bella Smith, which the upside of that would be you'd be having Amy McDonald play, but you know, in a lost season or in a season that's been a bit topsy-turvy, sometimes these little glimpses you get to actually evaluate players in game could turn out to be a blessing in disguise with how the list gets managed in 2025, because you've got more actual film to watch of them at the highest level. Sambo, I don't know if you've got anywhere you want to go sort of thing organically here. Any thoughts you want to empty out? If not, I've got some prompts I can send your way, but
yeah,
is there anything
fire away? Not really. I mean, we've covered a lot of what my notebook had.
Jackie Parry, they threw her, obviously she went forward, she kicked goals, or a goal. She kicked 2 in the end, Jackie Parry?
Just the one.
Just the one. Just the one. But then also threw her back. Like, they're sort of having their cake and eating it too a bit with Jackie Parry. What did you think of her as the swing player?
I mean, she's phenomenally talented. I think she's a great option to call to for that. I obviously was disappointed because I had her to get the most goals and they undermined me completely. But yeah, no, I mean, I think the only downside to it, I suppose, is I felt like she wasn't able to really settle into any particular role, of course, because that being the nature of it. So I felt like she maybe wasn't clunking the marks she may otherwise take, both down, back, and up forward. It just seemed like just a slight amount of like second guessing, I suppose, which I think is natural for anyone that plays that way, and also, you know, she's new to it as well, to being sort of switched around like that. But beyond that, I thought it was all positive. She had an impact up forward. She had an impact down back. She's one of those players that you kind of want everywhere. So if she's willing to be everywhere, then yeah, well, why would you not? Especially when, even without Chloe Shear, we're not really lacking for forward potency at the moment. Over the last couple of weeks, we've really started to tune that up, and I think obviously Maloney's doing freakish things every week, and Shelley Scott, I think, has probably consistently got better and better over the last maybe 3 weeks, and this is probably the best she's been all year. She looks really dangerous, and then you've got those sort of the small forwards as well, like the half forwards and and even the midfielders with Morrison popping up and kicking goals. So I guess if we felt like we were lacking when you drifted Parry back, that might be a downside, but I didn't feel like we did. But I felt like the only thing that it negatively impacted was probably her stat line. Do you know what I mean? Like, she wasn't able to really just tear it open and have a red hot go. But I think she was impacting the game, just not necessarily in a real, like, translatable way to a stats sheet.
It's actually insane. You just talk about Shelley Scott, you know, maybe the best she's been this season. This is the first year in her career where she's averaging a goal a game, which seems pretty wild. She's played 8 games. She's hit 8 goals, 4. She's got a couple of goal assists. Yeah, it's been an interesting year for her. I think it's probably taken her a little bit. I can't remember, did she start the season injured or get injured and then have to come back in? I feel like she's one of many Cats players who've probably had up and down 2024s, but I thought you saw her value again on the weekend. Kate Sermon, Johnny, she was instrumental, I thought, in that opening sort of the kick that she put to Aisling Maloney, like putting air under it for Aisling to run and jump at it and mark. Like, I don't know if you've got any Kate Sermon thoughts, but I thought she was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, she was really instrumental early on in that game. As you said, that kick to Sermon was just perfect. Like, you couldn't ask for a better kick inside 50 to your tall forward on the lead. No way that defender was going to have any chance. And then, just that forward half pressure was fantastic. Like, really good work trying to keep it in there, applying the pressure, getting the speed onto the game. Probably could have nearly kicked a goal herself. I think she had a chance to take a mark, dropped it, but she's putting herself in the right positions. She got herself into in those really awesome positions in a half forward 50 area to send it inside 50 to our players, and she got that one perfect kick, as we said. Probably could have had a few more perfect kicks gone inside 50, but the Lions defenders were also on it a fair bit of the time. But yeah, I just feel like her game, again, it was one of those players that she wasn't up to that level that we sort of expect or would want to see from her. And then she just delivered this game along with so many other players, just delivered that great game at the right time. Maybe a game too late if we want to make finals, but still just that relief going, yes, these players can still play. And just, that pressure, inside forward 50 pressure was outstanding by Kate Sermon. I don't think she did a whole lot throughout the entire game, but yeah, just like her intent to keep the ball inside 50 and to keep those line players accountable inside 50, not letting them just waltz outside of their defensive 50 inside their forward half, and let our defense, our midfield setting up that trap, that net, and not letting them, as I said, just waltz from one end to the other, which I feel like we've seen for a little bit too often in the last few games. Just teams going from defensive 50, their defensive 50 to their forward half 50 really easily, and that was another good, pleasing thing to see. And I think Kate Sermon played a massive role in that. Well, 6 tackles, third most in the team. A couple of clearances, so one clearance, a few meters gained, and 2 goal assists. So I think for Kate Sermon, off 12 disposals, that's the type of game we want to see from her. Just that little half forward pressure, little terrier, and hopefully pops up, he kicks a goal, one goal like a game or every 2 games.
Quick bit of trivia. Who do you think, Chaps, leads Geelong's score involvements this season? Average score involvements per game.
Aisling Maloney.
Ding! Correct. She's got 5.1. Can anyone guess who the second player is?
Jackie Parry.
Close.
Or
Jackie Parry's third.
Is it JCG?
It is Michaela Bowen.
Bowen was my second guess.
I was going to say Bowen. I also, the one thing
I just think
I've noticed about Bowen, she's always the first person to run up to the goal scorer and celebrate with them. Always.
Yes.
And I was just going,
100%.
No wonder the team loves her so much. Just that energy to run up to the goal scorer, give him a big high five, a hug, and go, yes, keep going, girl.
All right.
I just love it. I think it's fantastic.
Here's a bit of trivia. Well, it's not so much trivia, but just a bit of a quick poll. You don't have to put a time frame on it. Just a yes or no from each of you. Is Michaela Bowen a future Geelong Cats captain?
I could see it.
Yeah. I think she'd be in the conversation. Like I guess
you've still got Webster.
I've still got Webster. Yeah, I've still got Webster. But if I really think about it, I see a spot for Bowen as the the vice captain. But I also think that Bowen could get to the point where she maybe leapfrogs it. Like I think, she's coming along. Yeah, like you're sort of saying, like her involvement in the team and the sort of the way she engages in the spirit of the team is also like it's a bit different to the way Webster does it, I suppose. But I feel like this, especially if you're looking at this season specifically, I really do think that Bowen's making a really strong case for it. And I don't think Webster's progressed in her case for it from last year. I think she still sits as a strong contender for me. But like, if you'd asked me about Bowen, maybe this time in the previous season, versus now, I think she's come along in those ways. Like, I think her football has always been really good, and her intent has always been really good. But she does seem to have a new sort of lease on life at the club at the moment. She seems to be really just getting amongst it and really enjoying being a part of it.
Yeah, love it. Just having a look at her numbers this year, averaging 91.8% time on ground. It's 13% more than her career average, and it's up 24% on what she averaged in 2023. Almost career high in disposals per game, career high tackles per game so far, 6.2. So I feel like she's one of those players too who like has she's that she's that sort of benchmark player in terms of effort, and I don't feel like I've seen at any point Michaela Bowen's on-field stuff, like her performance or effort hasn't dropped as the results have gone against it, is what I would say, which is something that I really like seeing. And there's a few cats like that. I think Webster fits in that. I think Aisling Maloney fits in that as well. Like, I think it's great to have a team that's full of players like that who basically won't take these results kind of lying down. Like, they are gonna work to turn it around. Gonna get into votes. I just wanted to throw a quick nod to Becky Webster in that end game situation where we were down. I thought she stood up and took a couple of great marks under high balls. One of them in the defensive 50 with Brisbane pushing forward, stood under it, took it cleanly, and executed the kick out of the back. Prasparkas, of course, when Geelong needed a hard ball, won it, got it to space, that allowed. And then the other one was Aisling Maloney. Took a mark, probably about 60 out on the near side, didn't blaze away inside 50, turned, put it back across to a target so that they could continue to run the clock down. So just some really some brave efforts, some composed efforts, and some crafty thinking in a tough, intense situation, which nice signs for if and when we get back to finals with this team. All right, let's do some votes. Johnny, we're going to start with you. Yeah, hopefully this year. Hopefully.
There's still a
Cross
chance.
our fingers. You're telling me there's a chance. Johnny, go give us your one vote. And then Sambo yours, and I'll give you one.
You guys are probably going to think this is sacrilegious number one vote. But I'm giving it to Georgie Prasparkas. I think, just a fantastic game. As I said, she's getting back to what we need to see and what we expect to see from her, and she's done it 2 times in a row now. Definitely could have gotten the 3 votes, absolutely. But yeah, I feel like there's a couple other players that just stood out a little bit more for me than Georgie. But yeah, she just was again outstanding this game. And as you said, Jake, there was many moments when we needed a hard ball and she got it and delivered nicely, either inside 50 or just relieving pressure in the defensive 50.
Yeah, no, I like that, Johnny. It was a hard week for votes.
It's
Sambo
difficult.
And Johnny, far out. Like, there are definitely players who had vote-worthy performances who aren't in there. For me, we'll talk about some of them on the Patreon show, I think. Sambo, who was your one?
My one was Michaela Bowen. I thought she was, like we talked about her effort and her input doesn't waver regardless of the result. And I thought even though the result went our way, I still think it was sort of emblematic of that, because early in the game, I feel like she was one of the tone setters. She wasn't necessarily someone that took momentum and went, oh yeah, we're riding high, I'll jump in on this. She was really one of those ones in the early game to sort of take the game by the scruff and run with it. I think she's one of those players that I think I really want to just continually bring her up in the votes whenever possible, because she's so consistent, her effort and input is so consistent. You can start to take them for granted, and that's not what I want to do with her in particular.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
6
absolutely.
tackles inside 50 for Michaela Bowen. Pretty massive.
Crazy.
My one vote went to Anna Rose Kennedy, the Tipperary star. I played around with having her in a bunch of different votes positions, but in the end, I gave her the one vote. Like as simple as you can put it, her best performance kicking a Sharon. She went at 83% disposal efficiency. And it wasn't just that; it was the way she attacked the ball, the way she attacked the game. I thought she was just crucial in how she set Geelong up. From the back. So that was my one vote. Snaking back, I'll give you my 2 vote. Nina Morrison. Just brilliant. I know. I felt like this was a complete performance from Nina Morrison. 24 disposals, 5 tackles, only a couple of clearances, but 345 metres gained. She kicked a goal. She set up a goal. I thought she was absolutely outstanding. She has developed like she is strong bodied, but what I love is she's so laterally quick and elusive. Her ability to sort of work her way free of a tackle, that sort of eel-like slithering ability that some players have in the contest to just get free and get a disposal off. I thought she was absolutely essential to driving Geelong's win. So 2 votes for her from me. Sambo, who was your 2?
Just a spoiler, I didn't have Morrison in my vote. She was in there early. She was one of my ones. I think it is, like we said, it's a hard week, and it feels sacrilegious to me that she's not in there. She was so good.
So good.
Yeah, I don't really have any kind of like it was one of those weeks where I was going through the stats sheet and being really picky, and just like if I found one column that I wasn't happy with, I'd go, oh, that justifies them not being. My 2 votes go to your 1 vote, Jake Kennedy. I thought she was like, how many games has she played?
I think 10 or 11. The 10,
insane.
it'd be 10, wouldn't it? Because how many have we played this year? 9, and she's played in all of those, and her debut was the prelim. So 10 games of footy.
Yeah, that's it's crazy. It's actually like Aisling Maloney level, just in a different position. So she's not really getting the love that Maloney is, because like the 84% disposal efficiency. Did you say something like that? Like just crazy.
84%.
From 18, was it 18 disposals or 18 kicks or
18 disposals.
Lost my stat sheet now. Too many tabs open here.
17 kicks.
Yeah. I thought she was phenomenal, and just the dash with the ball, was just so exciting and exhilarating. I think complemented what I was talking about earlier really well, of the settledness of our backline, the sort of calm confidence, but then when we were able to turn it over and go, the commitment to it was like the switch would go, and she was one of the players that I thought was most instrumental to that, to being able to turn those intercepts and those turnovers into something really, really dangerous. And the symmetry of it being against the Lions again, obviously, also gave it a bit of romance to it, so that helped get her in my votes as well.
How bloody good! I just had a quick bit of calculating. 587 meters gained on 18 disposals. That's 32 meters gained per disposal, and I understand that some of that would be her running as well. But you average, for argument's sake, over 30 meters gained per times you touch the footy, and you do it at 83% efficiency. How has she gone from a player that looked like she couldn't kick a football, like literally 9 games ago, to a player who has one of the most powerful raking kicks in the competition? There were a couple of times she and Aisling Maloney, their ability to kick the ball over a backline setup to the advantages of players running, in front on the counter attack. We are going to carve some teams up with these players. It's
crazy
very
to think
impressive.
That Aisling Maloney got 319 meters gained playing forward 50.
Yeah, she's a scary prospect. Johnny, who was your 2 votes, and then we'll snake back with our 3s.
My 2 votes is going to Jackie Parry. Just loving her game this season. Absolutely enjoying every time she's near the ball. She's just incredible how she's just turned into this crucial, reliable, and just so deadly player. And it was my favourite moment was Brisbane Lions player was sprinting down the wing and Jackie Parry's just absolutely taken her out in this bone crunching tackle. And it spilled to
Yes.
Ashley Maloney, who's able to get it inside 50. And I think when Naves scored a goal off it, I just remember that player was going so fast and Parry's just absolutely nailed her. And I was like, that is a tackle and a half. And then just her ability to mark and ability to outmuscle her opponent. She's just super smart. Absolutely a smart player. Knows where the ball's going to drop. Knows how to position herself in every position. And yeah, it's just again instrumental in how the Cats were able to play this game. And yeah, I just loved it. Absolutely loving the season. And I think without Shear in the side, she's absolutely just stepped up big time alongside Ashley Maloney and gone, we can do this without her. And I'm looking forward to when Shear comes back, because if Parry, Maloney are playing like they are at the moment, and then Shear comes back in, that's going to be an exciting forward line, and I can't wait.
It's
All right, my three.
insane to think that
It is insane.
we get a forward line that's going to have Shear as well.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
it's pretty
Sorry,
good.
who was your 3, Johnny?
Anna Rose Kennedy is my 3. I just had a locked in 3 pretty early on, probably at the halfway point of that game, really. I just thought she was incredible. Absolutely incredible. There's not much more I can say, is what you guys have said. Definitely the best game of the season and absolutely instrumental in the way these Cats played this game. As you said, Jake, 587 metres of 18 disposals, goal assists, 83.3% disposable efficiency, 4 contested possessions, 7 intercepts, 3 score involvements. It's just an incredible game for a tense game. And if this is, as Sam said, it's like seeing Ashley Maloney back in the back line. And it's going to be, if she's playing the way she's playing and kicking it inside 50 to Maloney, to Shear, to Parry, to the small forwards, that's going to be a scary prospect. And I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's like one of the things that I noted when I was watching highlights of her playing Gaelic football when they first signed Anna Rose Kennedy was like her read of the game was so good, and some of her best highlights were her intercepting or getting involved in a linking chain of possession, from helping carry the ball from defense through the midfield into the attack. So it's like, this is the ideal position for her. It's just been a matter of time and development. And it's crazy when you look at her stat lines this year. If you look at sort of her game log, she's blown every category out of the water in terms of any other game this season compared to what she did on the weekend. Previous high disposals was 9. Previous highest disposal efficiency was 66.7%. Was it previous best meters gained was 189 back in round 1. Played 100% game time. Now, she has played a high amount of game time this season, but like, I think she's an absolute weapon. I think you hit on it, Sam, when you said, if Aisling, she's just getting talked about less than Aisling Maloney because of the position she plays. It's true. Like, you could have, an impactful weapon like what Aisling Maloney is, but she plays at the other end of the field, and that's pretty exciting. And there were times where a ball would be coming in and she would just gather it on the bounce and just attack running the other way and just take off, and she'd run, a bunch of meters, then she'd kick a bunch of meters to our advantage. And I just thought, I rewound to a game we lost against the Crows, maybe in the first half of 2022. And my takeaway in that game was, it's just kind of not fair at a certain point. The Crows have all these tall, fast monsters that feel like they've been bred in a footy lab. Well, it feels like we're getting them now. It feels like we've got those
Yep.
players with Aisling Maloney and Anna Rose Kennedy. We've got those freaks now. And I think we're going to put them to very good use across the next little while. Sambo,
We've got Kate
where did
Kenny
your 3
to come back in?
Yeah, exactly. Kate Kenny. Exactly. 3 votes. Sambo, where'd you go?
Georgie Prasparkas.
Nice.
Yeah, sort of just phenomenal. Like, kind of didn't really put a foot wrong. Like, did all the things she normally does and more. Like, added 10 tackles to it, and also her disposal efficiency was through the roof. So it just like, I'm probably more focused on disposal efficiency than I should be. But yeah, I think it was just the. I guess I've come to expect a lot of disposals from her. I've come to expect her to get sort of a moderate amount of tackles, but she had a crazy amount of tackles. And then I do think normally just because of the nature of her her disposals and her possessions being so contested generally, you come to accept that the disposal efficiency won't be too high. But to have 20 disposals, 20 disposals, 14 of the possessions were contested, and then her disposal efficiency on top of that was so high. I felt like it was probably for a player that's played a lot of really good games, possibly the best game I've seen her play. She's 75% disposal efficiency. I just think for how many of her disposals came from in the blender, I think that's really, really like that's the sweet spot right there. If she could somehow maintain 75 disposal efficiency, I think it goes a long way to making the team, really damaging.
Yeah. She also got my 3 votes. I gave 3 to Georgie Prasparkas as well. It was season high disposal efficiency. It was season high tackles. It was season high clearances. It was season high contested possessions. She was phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. It has been a down season, but I think you have to remember too, like when we think about it, she came in injured, then went back out injured, has finally returned and is starting to look like herself again. I think it is fair to say there's some things I would like to see her develop the use of her left foot more. I think you see it when she tries, she has to kick off the outside of her right boot. Is the thing at the moment. And I think if she could develop that left foot, it just does potentially add a whole different weapon for you. And I'm not saying you can't do the outside of the boot kick at all. Just saying add the left as well. I think it does limit her in some.
It is
outside the boot.
Well, when it works,
it
it's incredible.
does remind me a little bit of the way I play the European football. But I think it too, Jake. It's not only that she has to, and this isn't a dig. It's just an observation. I think it genuinely is a preference. Like she will be on the right side to cut across the ball with her right foot, but she would rather like turn back in and then kick it with the outside of the. There's a couple of great examples of it, and to be fair, it did work several times. But like you say, Jake, just add an extra color in there to keep people guessing.
And the funny thing is, Aisling Maloney does it too. Actually, I've noticed there's a few of them. Like Aisling Maloney's that goal she kicked was outside of the boot from 40.
But that was like an outside of the boot like scythe. The way she kicked that was, I don't think I've ever really seen someone kick a football like that.
That was an incredible kick.
It was like putting backspin on a table tennis ball, like just like the way she cut under it, and it didn't look like the way the angle her foot came at the ball. It looked like the ball should have traveled back to the center square. It was incredible.
How crazy is the thing? We've got Jemmy Cameron in one team and then Aisling Maloney in another team that can pull off just absolutely ridiculously crazy things. But it's just so fair for us.
I did love the commentary on that goal.
Yeah.
That commentary on the goal, they basically said, "I'm not even surprised anymore," or something to that effect. Like, and it's true, because once she did the sidestep, you almost know exactly what she's going to do, and you're just waiting to see if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And once it was on the way, and you just watch the goal umpire, it's like, man, that is going through, and that is an all timer. Just on Georgie Prasparkas, a quarter of her season's tackles came in that game on Sunday. A third of her clearances for the season came in that game on Sunday. So, look, whatever the case is, whether we can sneak into finals or not, I just hope a bunch of these players who have had frustrating years at times just find their best foot the last 3 weeks. You know, there's 2 games left. A bunch of players, got right on the weekend. I just hope that's how whenever the season ends, I just hope that we're ending in good form and with players going, oh yeah, that's right, I'm an absolute legend and I can do this. But yeah, Prasparkas was phenomenal. And as I mentioned earlier, was one of those players that when it looked like Brisbane might step in and do something, Prasparkas was one of the players who said, no, you won't, and just shut the door in their face. So that is our recap of the Cats and Lions. We're going to duck over now, do a little bit of stuff on Patreon. I think we should probably talk about a player who missed our votes, a player like Aisling Maloney. But there's some others as well who probably got close to the votes but didn't quite make it. So we'll talk about all of them. Maybe we'll cast our eye forward to the game this weekend against the Eagles in everyone's favourite stadium. We all know what I'm talking about. Most romantic
Mineral Reserve.
Mineral Reserve. Mineral Resources Reserve.
Mineral Resources Park. Mineral Resources Park.
I don't know why. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. I don't know why it's going to stick in my mind.
Me neither. It's such a classic name.
It just sticks.
I actually think
just rolls off the
tongue. It was in one of the Shakespeare sonnets, I'm pretty sure. To be once more at Mineral Resources Park. Yes. All right, we'll go and talk about
Resources Park. Once more.
Follow me, your brothers.
Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, go Cats!
Go Cats.
Go Minerals Resource Park.
That's right.